Hi, everybody. This is Juliebonnblank, and you might have seen the video where I read you the prologue of Innocent Lives. And so now I'm going to read you chapter 1. This is after Cienna and Jasmine have been hiking in the woods and did not hear the quiet footsteps that were following them on the trail back down. Chapter 1. This is Cienna's chapter. Cienna woke groggy, her stomach churning. Her hands, stuck behind her back, refused to move. Whatever vehicle she was in moved fast. She bounced, her hips almost rising completely from the floor as it flew around corners. Her mouth felt dry and sticky. What? She choked out. A nearby shadow came to life. Shut your mouth or I'll gag you. She opened her eyes wider and tried to focus. It looked like the back of a van, but it was dark and she couldn't tell for sure. Tears filled her eyes. She swallowed hard. Where am I? A laugh, horrible and grating, erupted next to her. The man grew more visible as her eyes adjusted. She tried to back away. The wall behind her felt cold and unmoving. Dark eyes stared at her. He sported a scraggly beard. His smell about melted her nose. He leaned toward her as she squirmed, suddenly only an inch away. He smirked. Holes lined his mouth between yellow teeth. Then he rubbed her chest with his grimy hand. She jumped, quickly folding her body up against the wall as tightly as it would go. Don't touch me, you creepy, disgusting thing. Shut up. He slammed his hand over her mouth, hard, or I'll hurt you. His vicious tone backed up his words. Mercifully, he then ignored her, and she soon grew sleepy again. When Cienna awoke, the van was slowing. It stopped. She felt a little stronger. When the disgusting man tried to pull her out of the vehicle, she kicked him with both feet as hard as she could. He grabbed her ankles and squeezed them hard. Ooh, a feisty one, he snickered. He wiped his nose with his sleeve. He dragged her from the vehicle. Her shirt pulled up as she went. She landed flat on her back outside the van. Her head bounced painfully against the ground. Her hands, bound behind her back, felt like they might break. Dizzily, she looked up at barn rafters. The smell of hay wafted to her nose. Wincing at the pain in her back and arms, she rolled to her side. A flattened soda can slid out of her shirt pocket. She must have lost the other one along the way. Where's Jasmine? Her tone squeaked through her dry throat. She tried to sit up. A fist slammed into her face, whipped her head back. Tears leaked down her cheeks. She knew a kid in school whose father hit him sometimes, but she had never, ever, ever been hit. Her face burned. Two men stared down at her like she was a piece of merchandise. It'll do. A man with a smooth face adjusted his red baseball hat. It's older. He kicked away the soda can. It bounced off the wall. It? What would do? Afraid to move, Cienna caught the words payment and office. She drifted in and out of consciousness. Would she ever see Jazz and her family again? A bit later, the disgusting man with the beard left in the van. The man with the smooth face and the baseball hat knelt next to her. I'm sorry. He reached toward her face. She jerked her head away. He patted her shoulder. I'll take you home. Her heart raced with hope. She slowly turned her head. Do you know where Jazz is? She whispered. For some reason, her full voice had not returned. He leaned closer. No, he whispered back. I'm real sorry. I'm Mike. What's your name? Cienna, will you help me? Mama Mike? He pulled her to her feet, put his arm around her shoulder. Her head spun. She leaned into him, even though she didn't want to. He walked her to the large barn door, slid it open, and guided her into a battered blue truck. He helped her in and released the plastic ties around her wrists with his pocket knife. He fastened her seatbelt. Her hands cramped. Her heart soared. Whatever had happened, she was now headed back to River Falls camp. Mike climbed into the driver's side and apologized again. Roger roughed you up too much. That wasn't supposed to happen. He reached over, patted her knee, and she shuddered, then felt guilty. Well, what's supposed to happen? He was supposed to take good care of you, he growled, not yank you out of the van like that. Oh, but why am I even here? He reached out, patted her knee again. Enough for now. Cienna laid her head back against the seat and stared outside. It was dark. How long it had been since leaving her family and Jasmine. Her head ached. Her cheeks swelled where Roger had punched her. Her teeth hurt and felt loose. She sighed. Her phone sat alone under her pillow in the tent. She hoped Jazz was back at the camp and safe. An hour later, they pulled up near a house and she sat up, startled. This isn't the campground. And Mike turned to her. I know, but it's late and I'm too tired to drive. We can stay here until morning. But what about my parents? By now, they must be really, really worried. Oh, I told them you're safe. Don't worry, you can see him in the morning. With a funny feeling in her stomach, Cienna grudgingly got out. She allowed him to lead her, this time to another barn. Aren't we going to the house? He shushed her, smiling. I don't want to wake up Mrs. Mike. You got to sleep in here. Inside the barn, a door opened into a room. Pitch dark. Her knees trembled. Stomach rolling, she jerked away and started flinging her fists at any part of his body nearby. He easily overcame her, carried her to the middle of the room. With a rope, he tied her to the wooden pole that seemed to stretch to the ceiling. No, let me go. Sierra struggled against the rope. She screamed as loud as she could. He stood and crossed his arms, smiled down at her. His hat was slightly askew. Beads of sweat broke on his forehead. Oddly, his blue eyes sparkled with amusement. All's okay. You can scream all you want, but no one will hear you out here. We're miles away from anyone else, and only the bear will come to investigate. Bear? She glared at him, screamed again. Help, she screeched. Her voice was worn with fear. Mike smiled again. He said goodnight, and he turned to leave. As he closed the door behind him, she heard the unmistakable sound of a board sliding across the door. As the cold darkness closed in around her, she trembled violently. And that was chapter 1 of Innocent Lives, Cienna's within that chapter. Chapter 2 will be Jasmine when she wakes up in her situation. Again, the book is Innocent Lives, Juliebonnblank. Paperback is now available on Amazon and on other sites. Ebook is coming soon. You can connect with me at my website. I'm at Juliebonn, Blank, BLANK.com, or on any of the social media sites as well under Juliebonnblank. Thanks for listening. I had fun reading. Bye.